Hey everyone, welcome back to episode 6 of the Rise Up Together podcast. Thank you for being here. We have a very special guest, Jules Su, and Jules is a personal coach, podcaster, writer, entrepreneur, and so much more. And Jules, thank you so much for being here. We would love just a quick introduction, and then we'd love to get into it from there.
Hey, thank you for having me. What's a quick introduction? Born and raised in Australia, moved to Canada about 8 years ago. I've traveled to over 36 countries. Studied business, got into e-commerce around 2017. um, I haven't stopped traveling since leaving Australia in 2018. I finished my studies in Germany. And I guess to cut it short, I'm now in Bali. Now in Bali for a month and a bit, just to take a pause and be with myself for a bit. So don't know if that's much of an introduction, but it's kind of trying to run through my life in about 30 seconds. But that's a little bit of a screenshot.
Awesome. Great to have you, Jules. And so, love to start us off. So, you're known for your coaching, and from what I've seen, your philosophy is helping people really tap into their potential, overcome those internal barriers they have. So, what are some of the biggest mental blocks that you're seeing your clients struggle with, and how do you kind of guide them towards breaking through those limitations?
What are the biggest mental blocks I see, and how do I guide them through limitations? I think the most important thing I've noticed with coaching is it's a highly individualized experience. So I can't really give a how to. Everyone's got a walk of life and the way they. Well, I'll put it this way: no two people see the world in the same way. So when I do sit down with someone, I just spend my time getting to know them, getting to know how they're seeing the world, getting to know how they're perceiving things, and as my coach puts it, how they're keeping out what they want. And that's a very individualized experience. But the way I can sort of relate to the question first, the first thing that came up instinctively is back in about 2020, when I was in the same community as you, the 1%, doing entrepreneurial stuff. And I did discover my, I guess, passion to spend time with people one-on-one and have deep conversations. What did I see as a mental block? Well, I just started to see a pattern when I did have conversations with people. I love connecting with the community, the Facebook group, just understanding what people were, making friends and things like that. And it wasn't so much what I keep seeing as a mental block. It was what I know is to be a common thread or trait with the words they were using and the things that they were struggling with. And it had nothing to do with the course itself. It's more with how they were seeing things. And if I could umbrella that into a mental block, that would be the block is how you're seeing things. And so my passion all then became about perspective, especially as a traveler. I move a lot and I'm always immersing myself in different cultures. And for me, changing the way I would see things or just changing my environment, being constant immersion of perspective change, that was what would change my life and change the way I approach things. So I knew it was all about perspective, that would have someone see something different and change their reality or how they're showing up with something. So I think perspective, it's a really not a great detailed sum, but perspective is a big part of it, or where I began, at least. Does that answer your question?
Oh, sorry. You make me think about, so you've been to like 36 countries, right? Or you've been traveling all over the world. One of my favorite entrepreneurs, I don't know if you've heard of him, his name's like Jesse Itzler. He always talks about how the most important thing to do that'll help you in business.
Go,
It'll help
that's
you
my
in
share.
business. It's all good. It will help you in business is building your life resume rather than like your academic resume. And your life resume is more important because he explains how people buy in. He says how like people buy into people, stories, and momentum. You are the business plan yourself, you as an individual. Um, so I'm wondering if how you think about this. Do you think about this in regards to your coaching business and getting different students and clients? And do you like have this kind of like forever student perspective on the world in which you're just seeking out like curiosity and you like what, yeah, talk about your values there.
Nice. Yeah, you said one of them, curiosity. Yeah, this became a really important characteristic to take notice of when I did start to discover coaching and discover the passion for helping people on a deep level and a transformative level. Um, yeah, curiosity. I mean, I think I unconsciously or subconsciously had that's what kept me traveling and seeing different places and meeting people. Um, I think at first, being on my own, no, when I got out into the world, I was curious. I was just like, I want to see more. This world's so huge. It can't just be my degree and this full-time job and then a graduate program or something. Um, there were cultures to explore. There were things I hadn't experienced, and so I was curious to see what more I would experience in life. And so I went out and I had backpacked for like 8 months. I just kept going, 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 not really attentive to what I was doing or how I was being or what my values were. I was just living in the curiosity and living in what life could offer me, and immersing myself in all of that and experiencing the fullness of it. And when I say fullness, I mean like the whole array of emotions, from feeling like completely abandoned and at risk of losing your life, to feeling what you want in terms of security, wanting a home, wanting love, wanting romance, to then feeling like, okay, I want this full-time job. I don't want none of this uncertainty, all of it. And I think when you're traveling like that and meeting people, what got me, I guess, the curiosity made it easy. The environment of curiosity, sorry, let me put that back. The environment made curiosity inevitable because I was moving between hostels and establishments every, let's say, 2-3 days. So there was this non-attachment to being anything for anyone. It was just, you could literally make up a new identity every 2 days. No one knows your background. No one knows your history. No one knows, who you are, what you've done. But you have this bond because everyone's a traveler. We're all here to see the world, to understand ourselves better, to see what's here for us. So it made it so easy to walk up to someone because you knew that we were here for the same purpose. So, but to go back to curiosity now, it's really important. Without curiosity, for me anyway, there's boredom. It's kind of almost like an antidote to boredom. I was on a call with my coach maybe a couple of weeks ago, and this topic of curiosity came up. Not that I don't think I don't know what the topic was, but it was just about connecting and creating clients. And the topic of curiosity and the importance of it came up, and how he lives in curiosity. He just picked up a pen and started talking about it and just wondering about this pen. Like, I wonder who made it. I wonder, why it's this shape. I wonder who decided to make it, this sharp and this, this color, and make it tricolored and have all these, so the curiosity was, he could talk about his pen for about 10 minutes. But how curiosity applies to my life, it's a way of living. It's a way of living, and it's a way of allowing yourself also to have what's around you and to see what's around you. I think a big part of curiosity is also slowing down. And I'm like bombarding everything into my head right now, but slowing down enough to be curious about what's around you. I think that's a big piece of it. You asked about values as well. This has been an ever-changing thing. I think if you're someone who's constantly evolving, so are your values. Depending where your head's at, where your wants are at, where your desires are at, where your inspiration is at, your values will just change. It's not something to get really attached to and put on your resume and keep forever. It's noticing that you're a human evolving, and so will your values, so will whatever you put in that resume, so will the importance of the people you work with, all that kind of stuff. So yeah, like the CV, the academic profile, I guess it's a filter. Like, that's the way I see it. It's a filter. And ultimately, when I used to send in my resumes to places because I knew that their big priority was the academic thing, and that's what they would base off your interview, your offer, whatever on. And slowly I came to realize that this is a two-way street. What my coaches would call auditioning. You're auditioning the company as much as they're auditioning you. So the power has come into me when I'm assessing, do I want to spend time with these people? Do I want to spend time with this company? Do I want to spend time with whatever their purpose is? Does that align with me as a person? And you're only really going to know that after the CV is put in and someone contacts you. So 100%, I think outside the CV is what we're all looking for, which is connection. So I have learned not to obsess too much about making the CV your identity, because it's not. It's just a really tiny piece of you. An organization that will look at that CV and be curious about who you are and not what you've accomplished. Yeah, we'll ask to get to know you. I'll leave it at that. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, I just wanted to say one thing about like curiosity in general. In first off, to keep asking you questions, were you always like just curious, you say, in your lifetime, like when you were younger and then continue to grow older and evolve? Because at least like the way I see it is when I was younger, I don't think I was, I mean, I guess when you're really young, you have this curiosity, this childlike curiosity, but then like fear-based responses kind of just like start impacting you. And I feel like what we need to do, more people in general, and what will help more people is if we start seeing like the unknown and stepping into it through opportunity. Like it's a lot of what ifs, right? What if this will happen? Well, what if this thing will amazing will happen? And I think this whole idea of curiosity and applies way deeper than just like experiences and stuff. And like it's our full-on mindset in regards to just impacts everything. I'm just curious your thoughts on that. If like share this, so if it's something that you resonate
Yeah,
with, agree with, yeah.
100%. What came up for me was inspiration, because I wasn't always curious. I didn't always have the trait of curiosity. But as soon as I found something that inspired me, that aligned with, a desire or a future passion or a future vision, instantly curiosity was inevitable. It's like if you follow an artist and you're inspired to like play guitar like him, instantly you'll go and pick up a guitar, you'll like learn some songs. You don't even think of it as, oh, I'm curious to learn this song. You're just you've got the inspiration and following that joy, following that inspiration, really. So for me personally, the I guess trait of curiosity doesn't kick in unless I've got an inspiration for something. Because you can put me in front of like a history museum and tell me like exercise curiosity. I'll be like, yeah, I wonder what. But I'm not inspired because I'm interested in like history museums, and I could be inspired by different things. Like, oh, I wonder when the building was built. I wonder how many tours are on a day. I wonder blah blah blah. So it can be a skill that you cultivate. But I think at the end of the day, for curiosity to to take you as deep and far as a passion, something that I guess gives you a return on investment in terms of liveliness and fullness in life, is that inspiration, is that thing that aligns with you. But I think it can be seen as a skill too. Again, it's about perspective, whether you see curiosity as a skill or a natural thing that you want to develop within yourself. Practice, it's like meditating, stillness, peace, calmness. Whether you see it as something that you want to practice and integrate into your life as a way of being, or if it's just a trait that you see in people, to be curious. But no, I wasn't always curious. It just depended what I was interested in, to put it simply.
Awesome. And would you say that traveling, main reason for traveling has been inspiration? Or if not, would you say your biggest why behind, all the traveling you've done?
If I think back now, I think it was simply to seek meaning, more meaning in life. Yeah, it was that. And I've been like sitting with that concept in the past few weeks about having more meaning in our life, because that's what I've noticed for, I guess, as the root of a lot of ambitions of people that I know or people I've been connecting with, or just what I notice amongst people is like we want more meaning in our life. And I think when we're not feeling like we're having that fullness of meaning that has us wake up with joy and live in joy as a way of life and live in happiness and whatnot, then we want more meaning. That there's something missing. And so when I traveled, I didn't have the perspective that something was missing in my life. I just knew that there was more meaning to be had in this lifetime because we've got one. And if I look back now, I think that's what it was. It was to seek more meaning, and I definitely got that. And I also got received a different relationship to human emotions.
Awesome. Yeah, I can relate to that. The reason why we go to national parks and then out in nature is to be connected to, like you said, to see the bigger picture, the greater purpose, the bigger meaning. So I can relate to that. And you mentioned, emotion. So going back to that, what's your advice for, I guess, having a bit of a paradigm shift or a change of perspective whenever you're stuck in a pattern of negative emotion, whether that be, anxiety, sadness, depression, whatever that is? How do you break that cycle? And, what's your advice to someone who is facing something like that to break that pattern?
Yeah, good question. Something I personally experienced myself. I had a good 2-year period of deep depression, anger, sadness, emotional turmoil. I don't think I ever really broke. I don't feel like it was like a breaking of a pattern. I think I grew out of it almost. I just, at some point it started to move out of me. Maybe it was time. But if I was to give advice on emotions, it's interesting. What I've learned about emotions is that they're all equal, and we're a human body that is a vehicle for these emotions to pass through. So happiness isn't any better of an emotion as anger or sadness. It's something we're here as humans to feel and experience to the fullness, to get that experience of life. And so when I do feel, and I rarely do I feel like anger anymore, or depression, or the unpleasant emotions, but I do feel unpleasant emotions. Like I feel lost, I feel upset, I feel like a need for security. Like there's all these other, feelings that come with being human. My coach calls it loving being human. And I think that perspective of just noticing that we are human, and honoring the humanness of you, seeing that as also just a way of life of like, yeah, we're all human. Just because someone looks happy 100% of the time doesn't make them any more grandiose of a person. Maybe they're just disconnected from a certain emotion, like fear. Maybe they just use happiness to mask that fear. But inside that will always like be a grudging feeling. But yeah, I think I've started to notice or recognize myself as a vessel for emotions to be felt and allowing them to be there. Honestly, that is the freest way to be, is allowing certain emotions to be there, allowing yourself to feel it and experience it. And not have it be something that you're attached to, become identified to, because then it just stays in you. Yeah, so does that, trying to circle back to emotions and how I look at it now currently. I'm sure there's more to develop from there, but that's my current relationship to emotions.
Awesome. Yeah, and that makes a lot of sense. Like you said, not identifying with that, but letting yourself experience it. Like you said, we're all human. You kind of have to take the bitter with the sweet, and the sweet wouldn't be as sweet without the bitter. So that makes a lot of sense. So, have you tried, exercises like mindfulness, or, are there anything specific that you recommend for, friends you're helping out or clients when they're kind of going through that? Any practical, like in the moment exercises or ways to kind of reset your mind and get in that mindset of, I'm just going to let myself experience this?
Yeah, again, like the advice is very individualized. I'm just gonna let myself experience this. I've practiced. I remember when I first started to learn how to move through emotions and feel emotions. It was that like, oh, there it is. Let me just let myself feel it. Like it helps, but it's almost not enough as well to really feel inner freedom and inner peace with knowing that certain emotions are going to come and they're also going to go. There is a great video though. I will put it in the show notes. I'll send you a link after. There's a guy named Benjamin Zander. There's a little clip that I was sent once upon a time, and I think it's about 10 or 13 minutes, but worth a watch. But basically, he's a professor and he's been teaching students for a long time. And a mind or perspective that he would teach his students is when something does come along, whether it's an emotion or an event or something that you could normally or we're wired to react to, he trained himself to respond to that with how fascinating. And the way he does his video is really entertaining. So it's an entertaining video to watch. But the way he works is just to respond to everything with how fascinating, because I think automatically your brain is looking for that instant, what makes this fascinating? What's so curious? What can I learn from this? So there's that again, and I found that interesting, to try out, better than it moved me more than just saying, oh, there's an emotion, let me just have it. But the how fascinating perspective or response to something made me go, kind of step back from it, kind of go meta with it, and then look at it as this thing, go around it, look at the shape of it, look at the movement of it. And then how can I work with it? It was how fascinating. Or, when I wake up in the morning and I'm feeling like crap and I have all these emotions that, ideas going through my mind that are taking me, somewhere else in the world, perspective wise. And if I say, oh, how fascinating, I'm then looking at myself like, oh, there's my brain doing its thing. That's it. It's interesting how it's interesting. So I think what it does is it cultivates this detachment to your emotions. It also removes, or at least minimizes the potential that you attach to a way that you're feeling or the way that you're seeing something. Um, yeah, the how fast. It could be even as simple as me sitting in traffic here in Bali on a motorbike. I could sit there and, like just yesterday, it was just a lot of traffic, a lot of pollution, a lot of noise. And I could see myself as a teenager just getting pissed off. Like, I'm late for this. Like, oh my God, so much traffic. Like, how could they drive like this? Like, there's a lot of reactions I could have. But I sit there now with just this like, wow, like so fascinating that they could not even like I haven't seen a crash. It's been like 2 weeks and they drive on the pathways, they drive everywhere, and I haven't even seen a crash. This is amazing. So cultivating that fascination has gotten me to see more of life, to have more meaning in life, because I'm seeing more things in my life like that. Like there's more meaning to me when I can see more of what gives me meaning. Um, so yeah, I would go to I would go further than that. I could talk about it for hours.
Yeah, wow, it's really cool. And it almost sounds like and with that exercise, you're encouraging this kind of childlike curiosity and, going reinforcing kind of those childlike behaviors of, oh, look at that tree. I've, never seen something like that before. So you're taking these very, adult experiences and and sparking a childlike curiosity to have a more open mind. I would say, is that sound kind of aligned with where you think that's going and how that helps?
Yeah, I mean, we can call it whatever we want. I think the main thing for people to know is that it takes time. It takes time. Just for as long as you've been conditioned to see and think the way that you are now, it can take just as long for you to see and think a different way. So don't expect or don't pressure or expect yourself to say, okay, I'm going to practice curiosity and start being this someone who's living more of a meaningful life 5 weeks later. So that, which is why I say that the slowing down is a really nice way of life to help yourself live into. But the expectation on yourself needs to also drop. So for me, what I found to be most useful personally is learning how to honor myself, learning how to have grace with myself, learning how to have patience, understanding that time is a construct, having a different relationship with time. There's a lot of subtle subconscious layers, working through to give that sensibility with, oh, look at that tree, before, just saying, oh, I'm going to cultivate a curiosity and just use my mind on the surface level to go, oh, look at that tree. There's subtle shifts, subtle layers to sort of work with. That that need to be worked with, that isn't just going to shift the top layer stuff. So there's time that is needed. I would say like the thing that we can tend to do and easily do is expect that we would develop a new identity quicker than it would normally take at the speed of life. It's not 5 weeks later. The speed of life is, you can spend just as much time developing a new identity as it's taking you to develop the current one.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, Jules, where can our listeners go to learn more about you, your journey, and follow along for kind of your work and what you have in store?
Yeah, that's an interesting one because I've also like moved away from like the social media stuff too. I do have a website. It's just www.julessu.com. It is currently offline, just to align with me taking space away from that world as well. But you can always check back in on it. I do have an existing podcast that I've also taken a pause from, Amazing on Autopilot. You can find that on Apple and Spotify. And I'm currently working on 2 new podcasts and, new stuff on the website. So yeah, when you check back, you'll see some updates, and working on a WhatsApp group as well. So there's going to be something that people can join and just experience more direct contact with me. So there's lots of things in the works, and that's why currently nothing is actually out there to access. But yeah, the one spot would be my website. Yeah.
Awesome, awesome. Well, thank you so much for being on, Jules. And everyone, feel free to check out the podcast Jules mentioned. If you have, feel free to comment below, like, share the podcast. Let us know if this helped, if, what kind of insights, what kind of, mindset shifts you've had throughout this episode. Thank you again for being here, Jules. Max, it's been a pleasure, and we will see you all very soon.
Yeah,
Talk
thank
to you
you
later.
guys.
Yep.